everyone, welcome back. Thanks for watching and joining me for this one. I'm very excited because we're doing rocks. Specifically, my favorite recipe for rocks. And the reason this is my favorite is because it is the first tutorial, the first recipe that I ever learned. Back before I was painting minis, when I was just painting large figures, I watched a YouTube video. I have no idea who the creator was. For all I know, it very easily could be somebody still on now, could be somebody who doesn't have a channel. I have no clue whatsoever because I watched the video, it worked, and it was a while before I came back to do something else. So I am very sorry about that, but this was very exciting for me and I can't wait to share it with you. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. This is a large quantity of hex bases. It's from Hex Base World, and I'm painting these up for their marketing. So that's very exciting. Right now I have them base coated because I don't want to keep you guys all day with this. But they are base coated with a mid to dark gray. This is exactly 50-50 mix of Liquitex white and Liquitex black ink. Mixed together in the airbrush, sprayed on with a nice base coat. Then the next step I'm gonna do is a healthy dose of Agrax. So we're gonna do several washes in here and a little bit of dry brushing at the end and have beautiful, realistic looking rocks when we're done. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this wash. I've got several bases to do, and you don't need to watch me put a base coat of Agrax on everything. So I will be back when it's time for the next step. We have the Agrax wash on, and as you can see, that's a blackish brownish wash, so it just gets down in all the nice recesses. So we've done that. And the next step is, as I mentioned before, another wash. Actually, two washes. These are going to be my next colors: Frost Blue and Rosy Skin. These are both Reaper colors. But really what it is a pale blue and a peachy pink. And it sounds extremely strange. I mean, they're rocks. They're not blue. They're not pink. They're gray, they're brown, but they do have these undertones in it. And it's these types of color shifts that will really make your rocks more believable. So we're going to grab my pokey tool because of course it's clogged. And we're gonna actually make up these washes ourselves because they're paints, not washes right now. And making a wash is pretty darn easy. You put in some paint, and then you put in some H2O, water. That's it. And it's a wash, so it's supposed to be thin. So we want to put in a lot of water. My brush, mix that all up. I want to show you about the consistency we're looking for. Here you can see how when I pull it up, it's kind of running back down. Now that's a good consistency for a wash if you're looking for something really runny just to fill in the recesses. But what we want is a little bit closer to a glaze. Not a glaze, it's still a wash, but we want it to actually leave behind little traces of the color, because that's what we're going for, is just some random traces of the color. So I'm going to do the blue here first. We're going to take that first one, and I'm not going to put this everywhere. I'm just going to pick some random spots and put them on there. Some of that Agrax isn't dry in those deepest recesses. That's okay because I don't actually want this to go in the deepest recesses. I want this to be more of just little variants all over, showing that our rocks are more than just gray. So we're gonna just do a few little colors. You can do some areas heavier, some areas lighter, some areas don't touch at all. We'll let the pink really shine through on that area, or maybe just the gray. But we're just gonna put a little bit. And you wanna make sure it's kind of more random. Turn your brain off because you don't want it to be a pattern. You definitely don't wanna be thinking. And if you're trying to figure out where to place it, you're thinking too much and not randomizing. A little bit more over there, and let's leave that whole section without. This way we know we're doing random. All right, so I'm gonna continue on with this. And then I'm gonna make up the pink one. And I'm gonna do that the same way. But I will actually show you a little bit of that application as well, so that you don't feel like you're missing a big step of anything. All right. And when that's done, I'll be back. You can see a bunch of them lined up there in the back. They all have varying weights of the blue on it. But this one I'm actually pulling forward because this one's actually my favorite with how it's turning out. I just really love the rich colors going on. And a lot of this streaking, the cool thing about that is it's kind of like veins of the different mineral within the rock. So if that's an easier way to think about why we're adding color into the rocks, maybe that'll help with the understanding, because all I know is I was in complete disbelief that pink and blue went on a rock until I actually did it and went, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. What we're gonna do now is I've got the pink wash made up. Oh, you can't see it. There it is. And I wanna show you how I'm going to add this over the blue. The order on the pink and the blue doesn't matter. If you do the pink first, if you do the blue first, mix it up, have fun. Don't limit yourself just to pink and blue either. Red is amazing. Green is great. Kind of gives that sense of maybe some moss starting on it. So those are great colors as well. You know, you can use yellow, orange. Nothing is off limits. There are minerals in every single color. So just go for it and go crazy. And what I'm going to do here is just pick some random spots where there isn't any blue, as well as a few of the spots to overlap, because that's going to give us even more with less work. So we're going to get this nice mixing going on without us having to do a third shade, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. So, and especially in places like this where maybe it bled a little heavy, maybe we want to cover that up a little more with the pink than in other areas. Some of them we might want to leave. Like, I think that one looks pretty cool. I'm going to leave that. But I do want to come up here and get some of this top area. Ooh, not quite that much. And once again, turn your brain off a little bit, because random is the name of the game. And there's some areas I'm not going to cover at all, because I want that brown, the Agrax wash to show through. So that's it. Now we're going to leave this one to dry, and I'm going to get on with the rest of them, and I will be back to show you what's next. I promise it feels like it's a lot, but it's really, we're almost done. We've got like 2 more steps. I am back, and we're going on to the next step, and that is going to be to use a light gray. And I'm going to use Rainy Gray from Scale 75. And the reason is this is a very grayish, brownish gray. And if you look at it compared to, this is Graphite over here, which is also a light gray. You can, I don't know if you can kind of see it in there, but the Rainy Gray just looks a little bit more brownish, maybe into a red undertone to the gray. And that's just going to, again, give us that more dimension, the more depth into the color. And let's be honest, with these pink and blue streaks, which look horrendous, I fully admit it, I know, but this is gonna pull it back together because we're gonna do a dry brush with this, which is a very neutral color that's more along what we would think of when we're thinking of rocks. What we're gonna do is a dry brush. So I'm just kind of preparing my brush. I've got a nice big Artist Opus dry brush, but a makeup brush. And we wanna have a little bit heavier than we normally would because we wanna hit a little bit more than just the raised surfaces, but not a whole lot. You know, we don't wanna cover up too much of what was already there. But at the same time, we don't want to see those ugly streaks quite so harshly. You know, they should fade into the gray of the rock because they're going to become part of it. So we're just going to do this, like I said, it's not quite a heavy dry brush because I don't want to get into the crevices. I want to leave a lot of the dark there still. And that kind of gives you a nice sample of what it's going to be when this step is done and how it kind of pulls it all together. And you can see that more rock look. I doubt on the camera you're going to actually see those blues and pinks, but they show up ever so slightly in person, and that makes all the difference. And that really just kind of brings more life to the rock, which makes sense. It doesn't make any sense because they're not alive, but more realism, maybe that's the better word. So I'm going to continue on with this, and then I'll be right back to show you that and the final step. Here they are, and this is the one that I've kind of deemed my favorite so far, so you can kind of see what that looks like once that step's done. And again, we do have one more step to go. Now this one I wanted to kind of highlight and show because some of these areas still did not get covered very well. So one of the things we can do is we can always backtrack. I could add more black wash or Agrax, more of the Agrax wash to it to kind of tone that down. You know, anything that it makes it look the way that you want. Now, I'm clearly having trouble talking at the moment, but I still have plenty to do. I still have trees and grass to do at the base, and these are, you know, huge mountains I have to do snow caps on them. So I'm going to just wait and take care of it at that time and move forward with these right now. But any way that you want to do it to make you happy, that's kind of the important part. It's your art. Do it the way you want. So the last step is going to be a white dry brush. And no, I am not using a bright unicorn white. I'm going with white sand. And the reason being, you can see that's creamier, has more of a natural look. Remember I mentioned snow-capped peaks? I want to save that highest white for those. So I prefer the little bit more yellowy, warm dry brush to do the highlights on the mountains. But, you know, any which way, whatever white you'd like to do. Okay, so I'm going with a thinner dry brush here. It's also going to be a proper dry brush, where the last one we went a little heavy so we could do more of the cover up. Here we really just want to hit the highlights. So it's just a very standard dry brush, nothing special. For many of us, this was the first technique we learned, was the dry brush. Maybe the second if you count a wash beforehand. This is really all you need to make really cool looking rocks. That and a little bravery, because you gotta try those weird colors like coral pink and baby blue, and it really does make a difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going on these, and I will come right back and show you the final product. Okay, so here they all are. And as you can see, I've gotten the whites dry brushed on all of them, and I think they look pretty darn good. I'm not sure how well they're looking on screen, if you can see all the subtleties, all the depth in them, but in person, they're pretty magical. Even the ones that look pretty bad at first that I pointed out you could always do another wash on, I just kind of did the dry brush with the white a little heavier, and even those, I don't think they need much else other than finishing up the grass around the base and, you know, the rest of the base actually being done. Lucky you, you get to cut and see the actual finished product of all of these bases rolling across your screen. Well, I thank you very much for watching yet another one of these tutorials. I hope it was helpful. If you have any hints, tips, tricks with rocks, or any great recipes, please share those in the comments below. I'm always happy to hear them. I also respond to every comment. Also, while you're down there, you can support the channel, subscribe, like, you know, the whole deal. Share if you so feel fit, as well as links to our Patreon, our shop, you know, all the normal stuff that you guys have heard 1,000 times from every channel you watch. With that, I'm going to leave that here, and thank you so much again for joining me. And until next time, have fun and keep creating.